st its whole square equals st minus ts its whole square equal to the identity mapping on R square. This one. This is question number 2. Okay, we need to prove that. So let's prove it. At first we need to find out ts and st. Let's do it first. ts xy. What is the rule for s? The rule is x plus y comma y. Right? This one. That is x plus y comma y. And what is the rule for t? The rule is txy should be x comma x plus y. That means the first component will be unchanged and the second component will be the sum of the previous two components. So first component if unchanged, then this is x plus y, and the second component is sum of these two, that is x plus 2y. Okay, this is our ts. Similarly, we can find st. You will do it yourself. I am just writing the answer. St will be 2x plus y comma x plus y. Okay, this is our st and ts. So the question number 1 is done. Now we need to prove number 2, that is st minus ts its whole square equals ts minus st its whole square equal to the identity mapping on R square. So starting with this one, ts minus st its whole square, obviously over x comma y, because this is an operator. We cannot operate it without the variable, so the variable is x comma y. Now we can write it as ts minus st over ts minus st xy, right? So ts minus st, then over it this one, this becomes ts x comma y minus st x comma y. Now what does it mean by ts x comma y? We have already computed ts, that was x plus y comma x plus 2y, minus stxy, we have already computed this also, that means 2x plus y comma x plus y. Now subtract this two, what will we get? Minus x comma y, this one. Now we can write it as ts of minus xy minus st of minus xy. Now apply ts on this element. The rule is for ts is x plus y comma x plus 2y. That means sum of first component will be sum of the two components, and the second component will be the first component plus 2 into the second component. So what will we write? It will become minus x plus y, then minus x plus 2y according to the rule of ts. Similarly, according to the rule of st, it will become minus 2x plus y comma minus x plus y, this one. Okay, now subtract this and opening the brackets, what will you get? Minus x plus y plus 2x minus y comma minus x plus 2y plus x minus y. We will get x comma y. That means we have started with ts minus st its whole square xy, and we get this is equals xy. So this is mapping x comma y, any arbitrary element, onto itself. That means this is actually a identity mapping. This is actually an identity mapping. So ts minus st its whole square equal to the identity mapping. And what will be its domain? It is obviously R square, because t and s both are defined on R square. So ts minus st its whole square equal to the identity mapping over R square. Okay. Similarly, you can show the exact same thing, that is st minus ts its whole square equal to the identity mapping IR square. This proves the second part of the question. Okay, next moving to the next example, which is question number 2 of that particular exercise 17. Let's take it. Question number 2 of exercise 17 of SK MAPA. It is saying that S and T be two linear mappings of R cube to R cube. S and T be two linear mappings from R cube to R cube, defined by S xyz equals z comma y comma x, and T xyz equals x plus y plus z comma y plus z comma z. This one. Then number 1, determine TS comma ST, and number 2, prove that S and T are invertible. Prove that S and T are invertible, and ST its whole square equals T inverse S inverse. Okay, we need to prove that. Now check number 1. This is very easy. You know how to do that. TS and ST. I am not doing it. This will be your homework. Next, moving to number 2. We need to prove that S and T should be invertible. So for that reason, let's prove at first S is invertible. I will prove that S is invertible. T will be your homework. Okay. So let's prove S is invertible. For that reason, what we have to prove, invertible means it is bijective. Then our theorem will be done. Bijective means injective and surjective. And what is the condition for injectivity? Injectivity is the condition is that card T should be equals theta. Right? So let's find out. Actually not card T, card S, because we are talking about the linear mapping S. So card S should be equal to theta for proving the injectivity part. So let's check card S. Card S will be all that xyz belongs to R cube such that S of xyz equals the identity element 0, 0, 0. Okay. So from this what we can write, z, y, x. xyz, S of xyz means the rule is z comma y comma x. This is equal 0, 0, 0. That is z equals 0, y equals 0, x equals 0. All are 0. That means our card S is equals 0, 0, 0, which is equal to theta. That means kernel of the mapping is theta, so the mapping T is injective. We can write it from there. Okay. And let's check, this is the mapping from R cube to R cube. And from here what we can say, what will be the nullity? Nullity will be 0 because this is actually singleton set theta, the 0 set. So this is nullity will be 0. So what will be our rank? Rank plus nullity is equals to the dimension of the domain. Domain is R cube. That is the dimension of the domain is 3. So rank will be 3 minus the nullity, which is 0. That means equal to 3. Now what is rank? Rank is a subset of our codomain set, which is R cube, right? And its dimension is also 3, and R cube, its dimension is also 3. That means this is not actually any proper set. This is actually equal to, that means the rank and the that means the range and the codomain set both are same because their dimension are same as they are finite dimension. So we can say the mapping is, S mapping is onto or a surjective mapping. That means it is injective as well as surjective. So the mapping is bijective. That means invertible. So the second part is proved. S is invertible. Similarly, you will show that T is also invertible. Okay. Then the second part of the question is proved. Prove that S and T are invertible. Now moving to the next part, which asking that verify that ST its whole inverse equals T inverse S inverse. So let's prove it. Just a minute. verify that ST its whole inverse equals T inverse S inverse. We need to prove that. So for that reason, at first we need to know what is ST. This is your homework, you will find it, but I am just giving you the result now. You will compute the value of ST for the first part of the question. So ST XYZ will be Z, Y plus Z, X plus Y plus Z. Okay, this is ST. So what will be ST inverse? Let's find it. Suppose ST inverse alpha equals beta. Okay, then alpha is any vector from the domain of ST inverse. Then ST inverse XYZ, let us take alpha equals XYZ. XYZ equal to, we don't know what about beta, so let's take beta equals ABC. We need to find out the value of ABC. So from here what we can write, X comma Y comma Z equals ST ABC. Right? Now we know the rule for ST, so we can finally we can find the image of ABC under the mapping ST. What will be that image? By applying this rule, so the image of ABC will be C comma B plus C comma A plus B plus C. This one. So by equating, what will you get? X equals C, Y equals B plus C, and Z equals A plus B plus C. Now find out from these three equations, find out the value of A, B and C. If you subtract these two, you will get the value of A, which will be A equals Z minus Y. And if you subtract this one and this one, you will get the value of B, which will be Y minus X. And C equals to X, already we get it. So C equals X. So we get the value of ABC. That means from this line, what we can write, ST whole inverse XYZ equals this, putting these values. So we can write ST its whole inverse XYZ equals ABC. That means Z minus Y comma Y minus X comma X. So this is the required rule for ST whole inverse. Okay. So this is how from a given mapping we find out its inverse mapping, just by applying this procedure. What is the procedure? I am repeating it again. Just suppose we know the rule for ST. It is given. Okay. We have to find out the rule for ST whole inverse. Then let's take ST whole inverse alpha equal to some beta. We don't know what alpha is. We don't know what beta is. So in the next step, let alpha equals to, if we are dealing with R cube, that means it will be a 3 tuple form. So it will be XYZ and beta is some ABC. Now ST inverse on this side, so on this side it will become ST. So XYZ equals ST of ABC. Now we know the rule for ST. We have already given it. So put the rule, then ST becomes this. Now compute each components and then compute ABC, because we do, these are the variable here actually. We want to know them. We don't know the value of ABC. These are the parameters. So solve for ABC. You will get the value of ABC and put it in the rule. So you will get ST its whole inverse XYZ equals this one. Okay. This is how we get an inverse of a particular mapping is given. So we get ST inverse. Now we need to prove ST inverse equals T inverse S inverse. For that reason, what we need the rule for T inverse and we need the rule for S inverse also. So at first let's find out the rule for S inverse just by applying same procedure. Let S inverse alpha equal to some beta. That is S inverse XYZ equal to some ABC. That means XYZ equals S of ABC. Now we know the rule for S. Apply it. S of ABC will be C, B, comma A. XYZ will be equal to CBA. That is equating, what will you get? X equal to C, Y equal to B and Z equals to A. So from here what we can write, S inverse xyz equals to z comma y comma x, because that was ABC. So z comma y comma x, this one, this is the rule for S inverse. Okay, similarly we can find the rule for T inverse. You will do it by yourself. I'm just writing the rule here. T inverse xyz will be equal to x minus y comma y minus z comma z, just exactly by applying the same procedure. So T inverse rule will be this. Now we need to find T inverse S inverse, this mapping. So let's find it. T inverse S inverse xyz equals T inverse, then S inverse xyz. What is S inverse xyz? This means zyx. And what is T inverse? This rules. So applying this rule, what is the rule for the first component? That is subtract result of the first two components. So from here it will be z minus y, then subtract result of the last two components. So from here it will be y minus x, and the third component will be unchanged. So it will be x. This one. Now check ST whole inverse and T inverse S inverse are same or not. Obviously they are. So from here we can say that ST whole inverse equals T inverse S inverse. This proves the third result. Next, moving to another example which is solved in SKMAPA. I'm just going to discuss it. Example, it is saying let V be a V be a finite dimensional vector space over a field F. V be a finite dimensional vector space over the field F, and S from V to V and T also from V to V, that is S comma T, both are from V to V, are linear mappings such that ST equals I, that is the identity mapping. Then prove that TS equals to I2. Then prove that TS equals I2. We just have to prove that. So at first let us consider one ordered basis for V. So let alpha 1 alpha 2 dot dot alpha n be an ordered basis of V. You know what an ordered basis is? Just a basis with the order preserved. That is, we cannot write it as alpha 2 comma alpha 1 or alpha 4 comma alpha 3. The order should be maintained. That is alpha 1 comma alpha 2 dot dot alpha n. Let us consider this is an ordered basis of V. Now we will prove that its images, that is T alpha 1 comma T alpha 2 comma dot dot T alpha n, are linearly independent over V, obviously, because this will belongs to the codomain set, which is V here. So considering this one, so let us consider T alpha 1 T alpha 2 dot dot T alpha n. We will prove these are linearly independent. For that reason, considering this relation C1 T alpha 1 plus C2 T alpha 2 plus dot dot plus Cn T alpha n equals theta. Now applying S on both sides. S of this whole quantity equals S of theta, which is obviously equal to theta. Now if S of this quantity, that is Ct alpha 1 plus dot dot Cn T alpha n. So what we can write? We can put that C1 outside S because S is a linear mapping. So we are writing C1 St alpha 1 plus C2 St alpha 2 plus dot dot plus Cn St. Actually we should use the bracket over St. St alpha n equals theta. Okay. And it is given in the question that St equals I. That means what will be the image of alpha 1 under St? It will be alpha 1 because this is the identity mapping. So the first one will be C1 alpha 1, then C2 alpha 2 plus dot dot Cn alpha n equal to theta. Now we have chosen alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha n as a basis. That means obviously this is linearly independent. So obviously these all constants will be equal to 0. So C1 0, C2 0, dot dot up to Cn 0, because alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha n is a basis, which implies this is obviously linearly independent. So these are all 0. That means we have started with this relation, this one, and we ended at C1 0, C2 0, dot dot Cn 0. So what we can claim? We can claim that T alpha 1, T alpha 2, dot dot T alpha n are linearly independent. So from here we can write T alpha 1, T alpha 2, dot dot T alpha n are linearly independent. Now they are all belongs to the codomain set V, right? And dimension of V is equals to n. Dimension of V is equals to n because we have chosen one basis alpha 1, alpha 2, dot dot alpha n for V. It contains total n vectors. That means dimension of V is equals to n, and here the domain and codomain are same. So T of alpha 1, alpha 2 also belongs to V, which is our codomain, and that means we get total n vectors, total n linearly independent vectors over a space whose dimension is also n. That means this will form a basis. So for V, this T alpha 1, T alpha 2, dot dot T alpha n is a basis of V. Okay. Now let sum any quantity beta belongs to V, any vector. Now beta belongs to V, that means beta can be linearly expressible by the linear combination of the basis elements. So beta can be written as some d1 T alpha 1 plus d2 T alpha 2 plus dot dot dn T alpha n, right? Now applying Ts on both sides, this mapping Ts beta equals Ts over the whole thing d1 T alpha 1 plus dot dot plus dn T alpha n. Then Ts beta will be equal to, now we can put that d1 outside this mapping because this is a linear mapping, composition of two linear mapping, obviously linear. So it will be d1 Tst alpha 1 plus dot dot dn Tst alpha n. Okay. Now what about St? St is given as I, so it will become actually T. So this one becomes d1 T alpha 1 plus dot dot plus dn T alpha n. And what that does it mean? d1 T alpha 1 dn T alpha n, this means beta. Let's check the this construction of beta. This is actually is our beta. So we get that Ts beta equal to beta. That means beta we have chosen arbitrarily. So Ts is mapping any vector onto itself. That means Ts is actually the identity mapping. So Ts is equal to the identity mapping. This proves the result. Next, consider another exercise from SK Mappa, exercise 17, question number 3. It is saying that let T be a linear operator on a vector space V over a field F. T be a linear operator on a vector space V over a field F. Then prove that number 1, cart T subset of cart T square, and number 2, image T square subset of image T. We need to prove that. That is, we have to prove cart T subset of cart T square. This one, suppose first one I am trying to prove. So T is given from V to V. we need to prove cut T is a subset of cut T square. For that reason, we are considering one element of cut T. We will show that alpha, suppose alpha belongs to cut T, then we will show alpha also belongs to cut T square. So let alpha belongs to cut T. Then what does it mean? It means T of alpha equal to theta dashed. Now applying T on both sides. T of theta dashed is obviously theta dashed. That is T square alpha equal to theta dashed. So from here what we can write? Alpha belongs to cut T square. Okay. So we have started with alpha belongs to cut T and we ended at alpha belongs to cut T square. That means cut T is a subset of cut T square. So the first part of the question is proved. Now moving to the question number 2, that is image T square is a subset of image T. So for that reason, let beta belongs to image T square. Exactly the same proof. Beta belongs to image T square. Then okay, whenever beta belongs to image T square, that means there exists some alpha belongs to V. That means in the domain set of the mapping T square, alpha belongs to V such that T square alpha will be equal to beta. Because beta belongs to image of T square, that is beta always have a pre-image. We are considering the pre-image as alpha. So there exists some alpha belongs to V such that T square alpha equal to beta. Then T of T alpha would be equal to beta. Now let's take this T alpha equal to some gamma, where T alpha equals to gamma. Then where will this gamma belongs to? Obviously this will belongs to V, because the domain, the codomain of the mapping T is V here. So T alpha belongs to V. That means T gamma equals to beta here. Now we can write beta equals T gamma just by interchanging the sides. Beta equals T gamma. So beta belongs to image of T, because this is the image of some element under the mapping T. So beta belongs to image T. That is, we have started with beta belongs to image T square and we ended at beta belongs to image T. So from here we can conclude that image T square is a subset of image T. This proves the second part. Okay. Next. Question number 4. Not necessary to do the 4 number question. We are moving to the next topic, which is matrix representation of a linear mapping. Matrix representation of a linear mapping. That means whenever a linear mapping is given, how will we get its corresponding matrix? So we are starting with an example, okay? Then it will be clear. So considering the first example of SK-MAPA, a linear mapping T from R cube to R cube, and it is defined by T of x1, x2, x3 equals 3x1 minus 2x2 plus x3, comma x1 minus 3x2 minus 2x3. This one, Tx1, x2, x3 is defined by this. Find the matrix of T. Find the matrix of T related to the basis 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 1 of R cube. This first R cube means our domain set, and 1 0 comma 0 1, this one of R square. Oh, codomain is different here, R square. So 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 1 of R cube and 1 0 0 1 of R square. That means it is given in the question that T is from R cube to R square. Sorry, this will be R square. T from R cube to R square is a linear mapping, and it is defined like this. Okay, then find the matrix of T related to the bases, this one for the domain set and this one for the codomain set. So how will we find the matrix of T? The rule is, at first consider the basis elements of the domain set and find their images. So what will be the image of T1 0 0 under this rule given here? So if you put 1 0 0, its image will be 3 comma 1. Similarly, find out the image of the other two elements, basis elements. So 0 1 0, its image will be minus 2 comma minus 3. Then T of 0 0 1, its image will be 1 comma minus 2. Right? Now these are the all elements, image elements. That means they are all belongs to the codomain set, which is R square here, right? And it is given this one is a basis of R square, and these are all elements, common elements of R square. That means this element can be expressed as a linear combination of the basis elements. Similarly, this minus 2 comma minus 3 also can be expressed as a linear combination of the basis elements, and and 1 comma minus 2, this is also can be expressed linearly as the combination of 1 0 and 0 1. So what will be the linear combination of the basis elements for this element 3 comma 1? It will be 3 into 1 0 plus 1 into 0 1, right? Then for the next element it will be minus 2 into 1 0 plus minus 3 into 0 1, and for the next element it will be 1 into 1 0 plus minus 2 into 0 1, right? Now consider the coefficients, this one. Okay, just write them as usual, their order. So our required matrix, generally matrix of the operator, linear operator T, is denoted by MT, that is matrix of T. It will be, just take the elements one by one.